Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Todd, standing here to have a very exciting Sasquatch Sunday show for you. A couple months ago, I got a blobby squatch piece of footage of a Sasquatch after having sounds found in the track. This is where the baby toe goes. This is the Bigfoot toe over here. And it comes all the way back to here. And tree breaks and all sorts of really incredible evidence. So, talking about a September expedition that just happened a couple months ago where there's definitive evidence of a Sasquatch that I personally eyewitnessed, and the whole accounting from top to bottom. So let's do that right here, right now. Let's get into it. Good day, everybody. My name is Todd, standing out here on expedition. Last full day that we have. It's getting really exciting. There's a lot of things that are starting to add up. So last night we heard kind of a metallic-y, weird banging sound. And about 200 yards from my base camp is this, we're on this national park boundary. You can see by the way the trees are lined up. This is national parks here, and then my research, well, where I camp is over here. We kind of come back and forth. So I believe we found the source of it, because the only thing, so I've heard this over the last 2 years more than 5 times. I can't figure out what the hell is a metallic-y wood cracking sound. I believe it's the national park signs. We've been hitting them and it makes a very similar sound. So we're going to figure that out.
Yep.
So we heard a very metallic-y sound I've heard at least 5 times. We have it on the audio recorder. The only thing out here that can conceivably make that kind of a metallic-y banging sound are these national park boundary signs. So I'm going to hit this just as a comparison. It's a pretty good piece of wood. I'm going to break it here. That's the sound, don't you think? The other sound we heard is two big cracking sounds, possibly 2 tree breaks. So we came out here exploring for that. We're really, I have the generator running at base camp, which is important because now we can hear where base camp is, and we're out here going, okay, those sounds, how far away were they? 400 yards? And now, based on the fact I'm literally probably 300 yards from base camp, and I can just barely hear the generator, we're going to say those sounds that we heard are closer. So we're breaking things down. Everybody's cooperating, being very deductive, and then, so you hear me talk about this a lot. What you want in good Sasquatch habitat is you want tree breaks there's one over here. If you can see it over there, that one looks like about 6 years old. Because we stopped on the trail and found this one, look at this, it's green. So this could be a week old, this could be 2 days old. It rained last night, so I'm not at all certain about how old it is. It looks actually really fresh. So if I was out, when I come back, I'll be able to deduce how old this is, because I'll be out here in a couple weeks and I'm going to come back, because this is a hot spot, because we've got a tree break pointed towards my base camp. This tree break pointed towards a national park. And then up on the ridge over there, Billy heard a sound and he went to investigate. And then we found a 20-year-old tree break back over there that's big, really impressive. So the Sasquatch think this area is very important. So we're going to start researching that and moving forward. So a lot of great stuff going on. So still not even 20, 30 yards from the breaks and the sounds that we just heard. So, and again, showing activity over the years, we find this. I'll show you. So I'll let you have a look here. So hope you can see that. So this is, my foot is on the heel. This track is not from this year. It's probably a year old. So that's where the heel goes. This is where the baby toe goes. This is the Bigfoot toe over here. And it comes all the way back to here. There's no question mark in it, like a human foot, but nobody would accuse. See there, that's the It's the lower part. This is the edge. And you can see on the top where the toes come across. It's quite clearly a Sasquatch track. There's no reason for the terrain to have been bashed and slammed like that. But what I'm also seeing too is, obviously what makes it not new is that's a bunchberry, and that's grown up this year. And a lot of the other foliage in there has been crushed and damaged. Like something very heavy smashed that and pounded it to the ground. So now I have a Sasquatch track, Sasquatch tree breaks, and all the other stuff that's going on right here, right now in this very special spot. So we just keep investigating. So what's happening is there's 4 of us out there all meditating, all spaced out, being quiet. I see a dark figure kind of popping its head up slowly, and so I'm in a sitting position, and then I start to kind of get up to my knees. I look over and I clearly see what's a head of a Sasquatch looking over at me. So I've got my camera ready, so I reach down, turn the power on, hit record, and then I get this piece of footage. The problem is there's a branch about 20 yards away from me that I can't touch. It's directly in front, and I can't get the camera to focus past it. This is the reality of being out in the wilderness with branches and wilderness all over the place. So I zoom in, or try to zoom and zoom out, can't get any focus for anything. And then what I do, and I'll show you something, this will help explain precisely what transpired here. This is the camera that I was using precisely. And what happened was, so I'm in this mode, I'm in video mode. And now I have to focus beyond, so the recording is already on. What I have to do is I have to turn this wheel to get to manual focus over all the way to this M. Watch what happened when I did that. See that power button? I hit the power button. So as I was turning this wheel like this, that power button got touched and the recorder went off. Obviously, you have a matter of seconds. I'm standing up, I'm moving towards this particular Sasquatch that I could see with my eyes. It wasn't very far away. That Sasquatch popped his head up. He was about 35 yards away from me, so he's very close. I could clearly see him with my eyes. I've got all the zoom in the world with that camera, but the more you zoom in, the more it just focuses on the damn branch in front of you. So I've got a still of it, and then of course I've got a photograph of expeditioners up over by it, so you can see when they're standing there, the dark spot that was in the shape of the head of a Sasquatch that actually even matches, as example, my Jake photograph, matches that color and shape very clearly. But after my eyewitness accounting of what transpired, it was clearly a much smaller Sasquatch. When we were called out there, you hear the sawweed owls. I don't think a big Sasquatch make that sound. I think the smaller ones do. Again, and when John Bitternagel had his interactions with the Sasquatch, we found small tracks. And so that's what I believe was calling us in. Even the sound we heard off in the distance initially, it didn't sound like a large Sasquatch. It sounded like a group of younger Sasquatch, and that was substantiated by that one that popped its head out to me. And then after that, we went up there on the plane. I actually did a review of it, but the expeditioner I did a review with doesn't want to be filmed or shown. So up there on the plane, the Sasquatch was like laying down, and you could see how you'd have to crawl in and pop your head up. So I didn't get any tracks. There's just marks, body marks on the ground that are not clearly identifiable. And then we went back into the wilderness after, and I'll get into a little more detail with that as the footage progresses. Here we are. We went back to base camp, had lunch, and then we got called back out into a forest by this big ooh back in the old growth. After we heard that, we heard 3 like powerful sawweed owl bird chirps that shouldn't be happening during the daytime. It's like a hurt, and there were 3 different directions. And that's the sound that Jeff Meldrum heard before he saw Sasquatch. And same thing when John Bitternagel was having success. It's a sound I know the Sasquatch duplicate, and the sawweeds don't squawk in the middle of the day. So we came back out in the forest. We all spread out, sat down, I saw a dark object pop its head up. I took a photo, a little video. Then I got up and I started talking to it, moved away. Then I got footage of Logan in the spot. So, a big black dark object popped its head up way out here in the middle of nowhere and backed off. The ground is such as if you walk in the right way, you're not going to leave any marks or tracks. So what we did see is big upturned mushrooms that had like pieces taken out of them that were all fresh. I saw that 4 times now. Now we've moved way back up in the old growth. About 15 minutes ago I saw another big black object off in the distance moving through the bush. So Logan said he heard something over in that direction. So we proceeded that way. So now I've got Billy, Logan, and Bill all around me. So I'm kind of the back guy now. I'd like them to have something happen. So I've pushed them up in the old growth. I got beads on all of them where they are. There's nothing that could have been that I saw. That black object, other than a Sasquatch. There's no stumps there. And the big black object, as I photographed it, was there. And then it was gone. I got up and started talking to it. It moved away. And I proceeded to film, but there was nothing left to film. He'd backed off by the time I stepped up. So, very confident there is, let me rephrase, there is at least one Sasquatch out here, likely 3 of them. And we're just going to sit and play cat and mouse. We'll wear the mouse and let the cat come up and play and see what happens next. Very exciting day, though. Richard stayed at base camp. And we'll have to see what happens when he goes back. We were going to get him to fly the drone, but I've vetoed that. I just want this to precipitate as it is. Let's see what happens. These guys they've done excellent today. They're really doing the inner work and feeling their way through. So I'd like them to go get their success. I know there's a Sasquatch out there. Let's see what these guys can manifest on their own.